I have to first confess that I've started preparing this draft with a very different understanding of what intensity is in my mind. This is our ability as a city to manage high density, to make Singapore an attractive city, to attract people, capital, and ideas, at the same time offer an inclusive environment for people to develop and achieve their aspiration. I think I've heard this many times in the last 2 days that Singapore is really a very small city-state, and coping with high-density living is, for us, not a choice, but a necessity. In 1965, this is how Singapore looked like. The population then was, 1.9 million people. And then we'll be set with issues of unemployment, squatter colonies, overcrowding the city, and shortage of basic utilities and housing. And I think it was then that we found out for ourselves how high-density living can go wrong and ugly when it's badly managed. Within less than 50 years, this is how Singapore looks like now. Our population density has grown by 2.5 times, but through good governance and planning, we've managed to leverage on the higher density to produce a very different outcome today. Well, today Singapore is one of the most competitive economies in the world. Our GDP has grown almost 100 times since 1965. We are well connected to the world, and we are relevant to the world. We are a major financial center and trading hub, and we're one of the world's largest port and air travel hub. And our manufacturing base is large and diverse, and we have plans to make Singapore a major learning and R&D center. And in my mind, this is what an intensity is. And above all this, I think we have managed to attain a very respectable standing as one of Asia's most livable and greener cities. And Siemens and the EIU have ranked Singapore top in the Asian Green City Index, and Mercer has recently ranked us the top Asian cities in this quality of life report. We make this transition by adopting a disciplined and pragmatic approach to sustainable growth. When Marilyn told me what she was going to say, I said, I'm going to give a very boring version and conservative version of what it's all about. And I think it's through policies and urban planning approaches that pay attention to economic, social, and environmental outcomes, and not growth at all costs, that we have, well, in a way, we have been practicing sustainable development from the early days, way beyond the term sustainable development became fashionable. And our first priority as a city is to provide a safe and livable environment where the population can aspire to have decent jobs, good housing, and clean and green environment. And we do this by paying attention to the fundamentals, such as good governance and rule of law, embracing an open economy and racial diversity, creating good air and sea connectivity to the world, providing good housing, and building good schools and universities to train a skilled workforce. And here in Singapore, we manage diversity by managing livability. And what this often meant for us is to find innovative and holistic long-term solutions to overcome the severe constraints of a land and resource-scarce island. So we do not have a hinterland to provide respite from the cities, and being land scarce, we do not have much land, so we have to plan our land use judiciously to meet multiple needs and adopt a high-rise, compact city model to optimize the use of land. We do not have a hinterland to provide respite from the city, and so we have to integrate greenery deeply into our cityscape. Unlike many cities, we grew at the expense of greenery and nature. The greenery cover over our city actually grew despite the growth in population and economic activities over the past 20 years. We do not have enough water, so we have to use extensive urbanized space for water catchment. At the moment, 2/3 of our land surface is used as water catchment, and the intention is to increase it to 90%. Heritage have an important role in defining the depth of any society, including ours. And so while we are a young nation that needs to develop quickly to find a place in the world, we want to do so without destroying our sense of identity. So despite being land scarce, we protect land to conserve some of our natural and built heritage, to instill a sense of home and belonging. The work to make Singapore a successful intensity is a never-ending one, and the paradox of success is success often creates more problems. And our future success here in Singapore will depend on our continued ability to offer an attractive, livable environment with economic opportunities to attract people, ideas, and capital. And the challenge here to do so now is in an urban environment that is getting increasingly complex. And these are some questions that we will need to address in Singapore going forward. How do we continue to maintain Singapore's position as an economic hub in an uncertain global environment? How do we continue to grow and maintain a livable environment and inclusive growth? How do we cope with changing demography associated with an aging population and low birth rates? And how do we respond to climate change and resource scarcity? What is clear for us is, well, these are all very difficult questions to answer, but what is clear for us is we still need to pay attention to the basic fundamentals that we have to make Singapore livable and attractive. And maintaining our economic competitiveness is key, and we are doing so through continual efforts to restructure our economy and move out the value chain. Tied to this is the need to upgrade our capability and the skills of our workforce. And we are investing a lot more in R&D, and we are building out right now a fourth university, and there are talks now on planning and building a fifth one. As the population grows, we are also accelerating our infrastructure provision to maintain our livability. And we are doing so by expanding our rail transit network by 100% in the next 10 years. It's 140 kilometers in 2008, and we are trying to attain 280 kilometers in the year 2020. Our intention is also to further transform our living space by transforming Singapore into a city in a garden. And right now, I would say some of the most exciting ideas in the greening of the urban environment is happening right now in Singapore. We have just launched the Gardens by the Bay last week, and elsewhere in the city, we are bringing greenery a lot closer to homes now through an extensive network of park connectors, through our efforts to integrate water and greenery, and through our efforts to increase the integration of vertical greenery in our buildings. And above all this, we are continuing to think and innovate for the long term and to look beyond incremental solutions. In areas like tackling climate change, we have decided to face the challenges head-on instead of taking the easy way out. We have embarked on an effort to reduce our business as usual greenhouse gas emission by 7 to 11% by 2020, and we are further committed to increasing the target to 16% should there be a legally binding global agreement. There are right now many exciting new ideas are being test-bedded in new precincts in Singapore, such as the Marina Bay where we are now, Jurong Lake District, and the Punggol Eco Town. If you have a chance to make site visits to this place, I would strongly encourage you to do so. And these precincts, we are setting higher benchmarks than ever to make them more livable, more inclusive, and more carbon-free. And this is done through better urban planning, better architectural design, better technology, better public spaces, and community involvement. Marina Bay here, where we are here now, is an example of a place that is designed to be a lot more intense than anywhere else in Singapore. And here we are doing so by planning for better mixed use, by bringing residents, commerce, and entertainment all in one place. We are doing so by paying attention to good urban design and good architectural design. And we are doing so by investing in good public spaces, such as the water promenade here and the Gardens by the Bay that we launched last week. And we are doing so by making efforts in placemaking and getting the community involved in the place. This is indeed a very exciting time for city planners in Singapore. And the work that we are doing in these areas are creating immense opportunities to use Singapore as a living laboratory to develop and test new ideas. And we are already seeing an increasing number of companies and research institutions setting up presence here to work in this area, and we are certainly looking forward to meeting more people with new ideas to discuss collaboration in this area. Thank you.